Hello.
Hi.
Oops, I was in my window. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Sci-Fi Vision Fandom Access for March 19th. What do we have to talk about tonight? The Ones Who Live, Constellation, Resident Alien, Shogun. Is there something I'm missing?
Nope, that's it.
All righty.
We don't have AJ tonight. Our co-host AJ is not here. He's off, I don't know, having a life tonight. Doing something. So when we have two talkers, the show goes a little faster sometimes, right? So
yeah, I'm sure it will be. I'm gonna try to remember way back when I watched everything and see if I can remember what I'm even talking about tonight. My brain isn't working.
That's all right. What's going on over on the website? You got anything new up? I know you were sick, so maybe.
Well, the one thing, I don't know if I had mentioned it or not. I did the film Neon Highway with Beau Bridges and Rob Mays that's up. And I actually was going to, although I didn't think about it until now, I had completely forgotten. I was going to play a clip of Beau Bridges, which I can still do next week, but I had gotten permission to do it and was going to play that. But that's up. I'm just honestly, so many things are behind with me right now. Let's see, what else do we have? Hold on, let me look at my little schedule thingy here. Oh, I put up Boat Story. Did I mention that last time?
No, what's Boat
Story?
Talked
about that. It's on Amazon Freebie. It was originally a BBC show. And here, give me 1 second. Let me get this.
Oh, you might have mentioned, I forget what it's about, but I feel like maybe you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's with Daisy Haggard and Patterson Joseph. It's like a very dark comedy. I really liked it. I didn't know if I would or not, but I really liked it. It's kind of, I've read people saying it's kind of like a Fargo type of like tone. I don't know because I never watched Fargo, the original. At least I don't think I did. If I did, it was so long ago I don't remember it. But it's very strange. But I really liked it a lot. That interview is up, and that interview I think was really funny. I don't know. At least I felt like it was. I was laughing through most of it with them. It was a lot of fun. But so that's up. What's else? Cabrini. I think I had mentioned that film to you guys before. And then coming up, I have for the film The Prank, which Christian, I never know how to pronounce her name. He does, or Christian did for me because I'd been sick that day and couldn't do it. Look at who's in here. Let me look. I hate when I can't think of names and I don't want to say the wrong person. It's with well, the interview isn't Rita Moreno, but Rita Moreno's in it. But Kate Flannery, Ramona Young, Connor Colopsis, that is coming up soon. And then American Rust, it is the second season, but it's been moved to, God, I'm so bad at this. It was a Showtime show, and now it's on, I believe, Amazon. See, I should have this stuff written down, but it was moved. I'm pretty sure it's Amazon. I just hate to say that and then find out I'm wrong. Let me see. I suck really bad.
Don't want to give out false information.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like Prime Video. Yeah, it is. And I had talked to most of the cast, basically everybody but Jeff Daniels. So I talked to Maura Tierney. I talked to Mark Pellegrino, who we all know. So there's some different ones. Those are coming out, and that's fun, but that won't be for a while. And then, like I said to you, is that tomorrow, well, I have a couple things tomorrow because Suzanne's helping me do the one, but which is Alex Rider. But I have tomorrow for Wicked Little Letters, I have Olivia Colman along with a couple other people. It's a very short interview, but I'm still excited. That's tomorrow afternoon. So that's coming. So yeah, very cool. I'm excited about that. I'm going to watch the movie tonight. It looked really good. I had seen previews of it and seen her talk on Graham Norton. So that will be cool.
That's cool. And we're still not able to post our Star Trek stuff yet, our Star Trek interviews, but those will be coming maybe next week.
Yep.
I have to double check the embargoes. I think they're next week.
Yeah, I think one of them might have been later, but I'd have to look. And
Yeah.
who did you talk to? Because you pretty much talked to everybody for that, right?
I pretty much talked to everyone except Anthony Rapp. I spoke to Sonequa Martin Green, and that will be embargoed. That'll come later because we talked about episode 4, and so we can't really post that until we we can't spoil anything. So we'll be holding off on that for a little while. I spoke to pretty much everyone else who's in the cast, really. I talked to
do what I do. Look at Internet Movie Database. Every time I go to talk about an interview, my mind blanks, and I'm like, "Wait, who's in this show?" I just talked to them.
Well, because suddenly, like you can only remember character names when you start talking about right. You start talking about it, and you can only remember character names, and you can't remember anybody else. But really, the whole cast, almost except for Anthony Rapp, was there with us that day. I spoke with a couple of producers. I spoke with Doug Jones, who plays Saru.
I've talked to him before in the past.
Yep, I spoke with Mary Wiseman, who plays Tilly, was on. Wilson Cruz, who plays Dr. Culber. I was able to speak with. Some of these were panels. They weren't all independent people, right?
Right. That wasn't Kurtzman on there? Or am I wrong?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, we knew him from Fringe, obviously.
Yeah. David Ayala, who plays Booker, spoke with, which was really exciting. He's like a fan favorite character on there, right? Blue Del Barrio, who plays Adira.
I think that's what I know him for. Wasn't he in Falling Water?
I think he was in Falling Water, yeah. I think that's what he's from. I'm pretty sure he was in Falling Water. He was in
show that I love that you guys didn't as much.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of like things that people have seen. Like, I don't know how big he did a lot of episodes of Night Flyers, but he was like, I think he was like, he did 20 episodes, all the episodes of Falling Water.
Yeah, Night Flyer.
That you know him from, yeah. So anyway, that's like 4 interviews. It's like 4. There were 4 15-minute panels that were like 4 or 5 journalists in the room when we did it.
Yeah.
So that video is all coming soon. We'll get it processed and up probably next week. Yeah, we're embargoed this weekend. Plus, I got to be in a wedding this weekend, and I don't really have time to do anything. Because I found out Sunday that I have a problem with my dress for the rehearsal dinner, and I'm going to go buy a dress this week and do some other stuff. So no time for anything.
No, yeah. Well, we'll get it up. We'll get it there. Like I said, I'm sorry, everybody. I am a bit behind this from being sick and from my leg issues and everything else. But it's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah, that's all right.
Lots of cool stuff coming.
Yes.
So, do you want to do the ones? Okay, you already changed it. I was going to ask you.
Do the ones who live.
Now this is episode 4, so you're caught up with me now. So I just have to think back, try to rerun my brain and remember, but you've seen everything I've seen. So what did you think of this episode? I have a couple big comments on it, but let me know what you had to say first.
I have 2 comments on it. I thought there was a lot I liked about this episode. I thought it was there was we finally found out what the hell is going on with Rick, and there was some good like character moments and some good acting, but I felt like it was in a little bit of a rut, and like, did we need half the episode of Michonne and Rick talking in like this weirdo apartment, or could that have been like 10 minutes of the show and move on to some other stuff? I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I was just feeling a little like I'm having a really busy week, and maybe I was feeling like, let's get on with it so I can do something else. But I felt like it was just a little repetitive. But and I felt a little bit like, I mean, this is where The Walking Dead is now, where there's like this random stuff, like they're in this place that has fully, like, somehow after the zombie apocalypse, these people developed this off the grid, fully electric, smart, like a smart home like that wasn't
as far as I understood, that was part of the CRM's place. It's just it was part that had been run over or whatever. Because obviously
it was a CRM place.
There was scientists and stuff there. Am I Mr. talking
I
about the
think
wrong
they
thing?
were like, because it's Portland, I think they were like some utopian progressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was still part of the CRM, but at any rate, we know that because the main thing that I got out of it, which is why I assumed it was anyway, is we know from them blowing up the helicopter that they don't leave behind anybody, to tell. Like they can't leave them there to talk. They make sure that they get everybody. So they might have just made sure people were dead. I don't know. I just assumed it was like one of those scientists' place, but I guess it may not have been.
I thought the CRM wanted to destroy the helicopter. Rick said they don't leave any evidence of themselves. That's why they destroyed the chopper. I thought they wanted to destroy the helicopter.
Well, that too, but also I assumed them. I'm guessing they assumed they were, well, I guess they probably figured they were dead in there. But at any rate, they can leave now because they think they're dead. Or at least they'll assume they're dead. Now,
I mean, that was
they're smart, they'll know they aren't, but
like that's a little weird, right? Like the CRM is so secretive and at the same time they're so conspicuous, right? Like in fact, I'm not sure if it was the Vulture columnist or it might be Eric Kane at Forbes who was like you have a logo, like you're trying to be conspicuous and you have a logo, right? Like they're
flying the graphics department, that's not the writers.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. That's not up to them.
Mm-hmm.
No, but you're totally right. I kind of felt the opposite of you did. I the way you did. I feel like I really liked that this episode was all character moments and that there wasn't as much action and it was just kind of them together finally talking. The main thing though I did have a problem with, and this is just, it annoys me, and we've kind of said this before, is as I don't understand that like Rick can just leave his kid, or in this place kids, he finds out, that he has a kid, but like especially when he finds out, like how can he just leave them alone? Like I know they're not necessarily alone, but I mean, I don't have kids. I don't know, but I would think that you would do everything in your power, no matter what, to go back. And it's like she's having to convince him. So that part kind of annoyed me. Like I'm like, Rick, what the hell? I just wanted to just scream at him. But that being said, I really liked a lot of the stuff between him and Michonne. I thought it was done really well. And even them escaping, I thought was good, really done really well too. But yeah, I liked that it was kind of more character development in this one.
I mean, I liked it. Maybe I would feel less impatient if we didn't have only 6 episodes and they're in Portland.
No, that's true.
And okay, they somehow found a car that is going to be able to drive across the entire country on this one tank of ethanol or whatever, which, I mean, look.
I thought you'd be happy about. And I saw that. And the first thing I started doing was laughing because I thought they actually explained how they're going to have a way to leave in the car. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Karen will be happy. But I don't know enough about ethanol to know.
I don't either.
At least they explained, hey, this is why we can use ethanol and not have gas and we can leave. And I'm like, we're always complaining about that kind of stuff. So I don't know. That to me, I thought was a good thing, but you sounded like you seemed to think it was still really unrealistic.
Well, I mean, the whole thing's unrealistic, right?
Well, yeah.
I don't know anything. I mean, you're right. I don't know anything about like
the apocalypse. It's all unrealistic, but
how to convert a car to ethanol or where you'd even get ethanol, right? I mean, I agree with you. This was a 2 people talking episode, and I liked it. Although, once again, the entire episode was like Michonne making these kind of faces at Rick, right? And being like, "What the hell is wrong with you, Rick?"
Well, because that's what I was saying during most of it. I told you the whole time I'm yelling at Rick, like, "What the hell? Like, go to your kid,"
Go to your kid, or like
you want to make the world a better place for your kid, but to them, they just want you. I don't think they really care, and it just, that irritated me. But the rest of it I really liked, and I think, I don't know, I thought the whole thing moved pretty quick. You said you thought it was slow. I thought it moved pretty quick. And I liked the romance and everything in it too. I thought I just overall really liked this episode.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a little repetitive, and I thought because we only have 2 more hours, like, could that go a little bit faster? I mean,
I get what you're saying. We don't have a whole lot of time, so you want to get more in. So I kind of get that. But I don't know. I just feel like anymore with these shows, a lot of times the way I feel about it is I always feel like all they're doing is trying to put in as many walkers as they can and make really cool death scenes and make really cool effects, and that they kind of leave the story behind. And I felt like this was the opposite, and this is what I've wanted. So to me, it didn't irritate me because I felt like at least I'm finally seeing them talk. Like, this is what I've been waiting to see. And now they're together, and I don't know, like, that's just kind of what I wanted to see. Whether I was mad at Rick or not is irrelevant. I was glad. I enjoyed it. I just wanted to smack them through half of it, but I really enjoyed it. It's like, listen to your wife, you know?
Yeah.
But it I don't know. I really liked it. And I think that I really definitely, like you say how they, you know, they got together quick and everything. I really definitely see the chemistry in this episode for sure.
So, what did you think about, this is not a shot of that sex. There's not very many. I mentioned this before, that on the AMC press site, almost all the photos always are like tight portrait shot, like face shots, right?
Well, but a lot of that's too is, I think, to avoid spoilers.
To avoid spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to get something that's super.
Yeah. So we got this rare sex scene, like the last sex scene I saw on The Walking Dead. I mean, like, I remember Andrea and Shane in the car in like season 1 of the flagship show. There's not a lot of
there's a lot of romance, but there's not a lot of outright sex, I guess.
This sex scene is very well received online, from what I can tell. I thought it was really great. Now,
yeah, I really liked it.
Denai Guerrero wrote this episode, and she is a playwright, and the whole thing did feel like a play, right? I mean,
now that you say that, kind of, yeah.
I mean, look, the fact that it's two people basically in the same 2 rooms talking is pretty much like a play, right?
But I don't know. It was hot. I liked it. So,
but yeah, I mean, the sex scene was kind of, I mean, it was kind of cool how it's a sex scene, but it's a character development moment for Rick also, right?
Yeah, because he was like really struggling, and she was, you know, trying to get through to him. Yeah. I feel like he really grew in this episode a lot.
Well, he like came out of his like shell or whatever his defenses that.
Yeah, and there was that whole conversation about, I'm trying to remember, about how I mean, and this is again why I wanted to smack Rick, because I understand what he's saying, but like saying that you couldn't go because you couldn't lose them again, I guess, is kind of the idea that, like, if he just pretended that everybody's okay, then in his mind they were okay, and if he left and something bad happened, he couldn't deal with it. At least that's kind of how I took it. But I still feel like that's not a good reason not to go back.
Like, I can't go back because, Michonne, if I lose you again, I can never take it, so I can just pretend that you're alive, and I won't know if you're alive or dead, and that's better than potential. This is kind of like a thing where, like,
I guess too much.
A person, like, you get divorced or you break up with your boyfriend and you're like, I'm never dating again because I can't go through this heartbreak again. Or it's not on the same level, but like when my cat died, I was like, I'm never getting a cat again because I'll outlive my pets, or like, okay, it's not like having a pet.
He met with his kids too, or at least I think I took it he meant like all of them, not just her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my problem. Like, why would you not choose to be with your family than just to hope that they're okay because you don't have to think about it? Like, that's kind of, and I know that's not the way he meant it exactly, but that's kind of the way it comes off, at least to me. Yeah, I mean, I get he was in a really dark place and that's how he's dealt with it. I can understand that. That's how he got through it. But now you know that they're alive and you can go back to them. You need to be getting in there. You need to get off your ass and go there and do anything you can to get there. That's how I feel.
I mean, he's like a prisoner who's like mentally beaten down, right? And he's not in a good, but you'd think the moment he saw Michonne would be like a snap out of it. And when Michonne's like, you know, they think we're dead. We're so lucky, right? They think we're dead. Let's just go home. And he's like, no, I still can't, because what if I, like, it is crazy. It is crazy. I don't really, I don't necessarily agree with it or get it, right? I'm not sure if I was going to, I'm not the writer of this. So, there are people who've been writing Rick and Michonne for years who felt like this was get it, I guess, that he's in such a horrible mental place. But to be like, I can't remember what Judith looks like, so I don't want to go back and I can't go back to see Judith.
Let me just break in a second. I just want to say we actually have a lot of live viewers this week compared to
do.
Normal. So yeah, we have quite a bit. So
welcome,
guys, if you have an opinion, come in the chat on StreamYard. I'm not sure. I was going to say, can you just give a link for anybody to come, or do they? Well, no, that's right. You guys can comment. What am I thinking? Don't listen to what I just said. You can comment on any of the social media platforms that you're watching this.
Yeah.
If you put a comment, it comes up in our comment box and we can see it. So tell us what you think. We want to hear from you guys. There's people watching and listening, but nobody's in the chat. So nobody's left any comments yet. So yeah, on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at, let us know what you think. Even if we've moved on from the show, we can always kind of go back and touch on it.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to say that before we get quite done with.
No, you and I have said like for years that all these people leaving these kids is like Rick didn't have a choice. He was kidnapped basically, right?
Well, to be fair, and I've said this about a lot of shows, I a lot of times don't, when everybody I think knows this by now, I don't like when they have little kids on shows and babies on shows, because they don't make it realistic putting them in the show. It's like they're in the show and then they shove them in a drawer and you don't see them again for months. And like, I get it. It's just the way it is. It's television. It's not real. It's kind of like I've said before, it's the thing with grief. If they spend the whole time focused on it, it's going to get boring and it's going to get tedious. Yeah. So I understand that. But, when they're outright they're talking about it, obviously. It's not just like it's in the background. They're talking about you have a kid, you're missing your daughter and now you find out you have a son. Why are you not,
I've always struggled with the idea that Michonne leaves these kids to go find a man who has been presumed dead for years, and there's really no evidence. I mean, she does find his boots or whatever, but and then Daryl is like their surrogate parent, and then Daryl leaves them to go somewhere. And now Carol, I would presume that Carol was in charge of them, but now Carol's going. We saw Carol right in Vermont or whatever, Maine on the last show. Everybody keeps dumping these poor kids. I know you got to grow up fast in the apocalypse, but that has always bothered me about this franchise. But and Michonne is the one person who, now she's like, I got to get back to them. And she made the decision. She's like, okay, Rick, you won't go. You're going to be like this, whatever. I'm going back. Right. And she like walks out of this room and she's like,
and it kind of snaps him out of it. Finally.
Yeah. And then they, eventually they have to fight their way out of the building, which I kind of liked that. I mean, yes, how many times have I seen a person in a million shows where something falls in their leg and they're trapped and like, you have to go and save yourself. No, I'll help you, right? Like,
yeah.
But it was kind of, the fight in the stairwell was kind of, they're always trying to find a new way to,
Yeah, it's kind of hard after so many shows and so many years to always be something completely unique. But
I like the idea that these zombies were super skinny because they starved to death as humans, whereas like we see zombies that are super skinny just because they've been a zombie for 12 years and their flesh like rotted off their bones and they're mostly a skeleton, right?
Didn't they though at the beginning? And again, this might have been the beginning of the show where they sort of changed the mythology, so maybe I'm wrong, but I thought there was a thing that like if they haven't eaten, that's when they're slow. So I'm kind of concerned these zombies were really fast and they've had no food. That I wondered about, but
maybe they just died. I don't know. So there was also this weirdness in the beginning of the show where Michonne's like, this is weird, there's no food here. Like all these people were here and there's no food here. And he's like, they ate it all. And then Michonne says, there's no crops. We're like in a city and there's no crops anywhere around here. And Rick's like, maybe the crops burnt down or whatever. And I feel like, is there more there to this city that I'm going to learn or that I want to learn?
That's why I thought maybe it was possible that the CRM, like just if it was part of the CRM, that they destroyed it on purpose, but it wasn't really delved into. So that was just kind of like my idea. It wasn't ever
or not part of the CRM, but like they were a community of leaders. They were.
They could have even been not CRM, but the CRM killed them because they were there. Don't know.
But I guess we'll never find out because, like, if it's from a Rick and Michonne point of view,
yeah, they're gone. We're not going to
drive to Alexandria and never learn and never find out. And I guess in the apocalypse, you'd see stuff every day that you're like, I wonder what happened here. Oh well. I mean, I guess I see that all over town. I'm like, I wonder what happened to that car, right? And you never find out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was good. It was a good hour of Walking Dead, a good hour of TV, and a great hour of this franchise that has not always like lived up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was pretty good. So I saw. So next week it looks like they're making their way across the country, and it's funny because did you see the promo for next week?
No, I haven't. Now that you said that, I just realized I'm like crap because I didn't watch it on TV. I didn't see the promo. I watched it on a screener. I have to go back and do that because I want to see the preview. But tell me what happens.
So
I honestly don't know. I have no clue.
So they show like I don't know, freaking Michonne. They're driving, fighting, whatever. But there's a shot where Michonne says something like, "This can't end with us going home." She says, "Like we can't go now." Like after I don't know, after a whole hour, really like
of them bitching about it, or of her saying, "You got to go."
Convince Rick to go home. In the promo, she's saying, "Oh, we can't go. This can't end with us going back to Alexandria."
Well, but we don't really know what that means, though.
No, we don't.
You might be saying we have to do something first. We don't really know because we haven't seen
or
it.
you might be saying they're following us. We can't go while they're following us or something.
Very
right?
true.
Like, you really don't know. But I was like, oh my God, I just watched a whole hour of her being like, we have to go back. And then like, she's like, we can't go back.
Yeah.
But, like as soon as she's like Jack, who as soon as he landed off the island in LA, he's like, oh my God, I go back to the island.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, I don't know. I have not, it's as far as I've seen, so I have no clue.
Oh, good.
And I'm hoping they send us the rest of it because I want to know what happens. And I'm very bad at waiting. So
You're gonna wait.
No, I can't do that. No, but right now I don't have it. I'm still trying to get interviews for the show, trying to set some stuff up. It's been kind of slow going since the roundtable they had. So I don't know. We'll see. And then the only other thing I was talking to you about before we started here is I am still working on the Rochon designs. I had some hiccups because of being sick and everything else that it didn't get finished, but I'm just trying to get them big enough. I'm trying to use a resizer to get them upscaled enough that it'll work out so I can put them on some stuff because I think it's really cool. I think they came out nice. I just need to make sure that they're good enough quality because I don't want them to, print up like crap. So just
cool.
That. But that'll be coming, and I will post that on my different social medias for Sci-Fi Vision once they are done and up. So yeah.
All right.
Hopefully that will be tomorrow if everything goes right, but tomorrow or so, hopefully tomorrow. All right. Well, I think that's it for this show, unless you have something else to add. I forgot. Ark said she wasn't coming. She couldn't come. I forgot she told me that. That's why she's not in the chat. I knew that. And I forgot.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Why isn't she in here? I forgot. She said she wouldn't be able to be here this week. So I have to wait for her next week.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Constellation.
This was
try to remember which is what in what episode.
This was episode 6 of Constellation. The title is Paul is Dead. And we finally got to see what happened in the opposite universe. Where
okay. This is the episode that finally kind of solidified everything.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I can remember a lot of this because I like this episode. Yeah. I thought it was really cool that we got to see the other side of it. And especially when you got to see where Alice, like when she saw things, like where it was coming from, the other universe. Yeah. The only thing that kind of confuses me is if it's supposed to be, it must be and maybe I misunderstood that watching it. I don't know. It must be supposed to be from the device because I thought it was like the astronauts it happened to from going up in space, but like clearly her daughter is experiencing it too. So I think what you said makes more sense about it's got to be the machine.
I said last week the only thing I could think of was that Alice was watching on the iPad when Paul turned on the cow. And it's the only reason I can think of why Alice is affected and nobody else.
How she brought it. Remember, she brought it to the cabin, though.
Oh yeah. That. But Alice was having those experiences before.
That's true.
Before Joe stole the cow and brought it to the cabin, right?
Yeah,
Alice?
I don't know. That's one of the big things I don't understand about this then, that I don't know, missed something somewhere. I eventually want to go back and rewatch it and see. But yeah, but you're right. She was talking to her when he turned it on. So that would kind of make a little sense. But I mean, it's not that I would take it that this alternate universe, whatever, I mean, it's there. It's just they're able to see into it. So it's not like at least I don't take it that the machine created this alternate universe. It's just that they're able to access it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, what I really liked about this episode was all the like Paul has been really like a minor character previously. I mean, just because he didn't have like a lot, we didn't see his. I mean, he's been dead, right? That's why he's been a minor character, because he's been dead. And we finally got to see this, and I thought it was really well done. I liked the way they kind of recaptured the whole what's it called when you're afraid of small spaces? Claustrophobia. The claustrophobia of being on the station was really interesting. I thought I really don't know. William Catlett is the actor who plays Paul. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not sure
that I'm in it much till now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I've seen any of his work before.
I'm not sure. You know, I almost and granted, I don't know. Maybe if they did this, we'd be complaining that it's too much. But I wouldn't have minded having the season longer and having them show like both realities through the whole show. I would not have minded that. I don't know if it would have been too much, but like thinking about it, I wouldn't have minded seeing it.
Yeah, maybe. Wow, he's actually done a lot of work for Apple. He was in the last days of Ptolemy Gray, and he was in a Lovecraft Country. Was not an Apple show, right? That was on Lovecraft Country. Was that HBO? I'm not really sure.
Well, you saw Ptolemy Gray. So
Ptolemy Gray is really good, and if people haven't seen it, they should go back and watch that on Apple TV. It's really good. But I really enjoyed his performance in this. I like the way Paul is. He's the way he reacts. He's more freaked out. I mean, of course, what happened to Joe is that scene where she gets sucked up through to the window and like basically I'm sorry, did her eye get sucked out into space? That was crazy.
Maybe it wasn't clear, but it wasn't nice. It didn't look like whatever happened was very nice.
I think her eyeball like sucked right out of her head out into space. That was like a shocking.
Her head was smashed. Yeah,
I didn't expect her to die that way. The way Paul died was like so different, right? Because he was right there in the hallway, and they were working on him and trying to help him, and that was really shocking to me. And then they did this this is a shot of him. You can see next to him is Joe with her head in the bag there on the left.
Yeah.
When he thinks she's whispering and breathing and stuff. So do you think she was alive or not alive? And do you think
I definitely think she was dead. And this is again where some things aren't completely explained, because I assumed, and again, this is an assumption because I don't really know, even though I've seen it. I kind of assumed that like when they're seeing the other one alive, like they're seeing into that other universe in a way. Because if you remember, it was in one of the other episodes, she saw his arm floating or something.
Yeah.
Like it shows this, it was in this episode, I'm pretty sure. Like it shows him reaching out to her, and it's like the opposite version of that. And he's alive and he's reaching with his arm. So I took that to be like, that's what she saw at that moment.
Yeah.
At least that's definitely how I took it. But my question is, the whole thing with him not taking the body back, was that what he said actually supposed to be what he thought would happen, or did he say that because he was scared? Because there's a part of me that wondered if he just said that. I don't think that's what it was supposed to be, but I kind of wondered a little bit there if he was just like couldn't deal with it.
I think he was afraid because he's not sure, like, is she alive? Is she dead? Certainly if she was alive. If he thought she was alive.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks she's alive. I think he thinks it's scaring the shit out of him.
But if he thought she was alive, there's no way she could survive reentry and all that anyway, right? As he said, as soon as we hit gravity, she's going to bleed out, whatever. But I think he made it up, or he brought it up because he was scared that she was like, I don't know, a ghost or whatever's going on with her. I think he was terrified, and I think he didn't want to bring her back. And I think that's why he feels so guilty, because he obviously is really struggling throughout the rest of the episode with having done that, right?
Okay.
And the idea of leaving a person behind is like, they don't do it. And I think that most NASA astronauts have been like Navy pilots or Air Force pilots, right? And are coming out of like a military.
They never leave anybody behind.
And have probably also, absorbed that don't leave anybody behind kind of thing. And then he comes home and like this kid, Alice, like, right? Alice can't Alice is saying like she could be alive, but nobody knows Alice is having this experience. They all think Alice is like, she is taking it badly and she is poorly adjusted to this, but they think Alice, because she can't see her mother's body, thinks she's alive. Alice thinks she's alive because she can see into the other universe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's definitely why I think that. But then again, I that is true. And I think that that's true. But I feel like is that necessarily the only reason? Like, even if she didn't know that, she might say that. Because I feel like if that was your mother, you'd be saying that too at that age. Like, just like with that hope that maybe you're wrong. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe she's alive. Like,
could she be alive on the space station? She
right.
could.
Whether she saw her or not. I feel like a kid that age would feel like that and would think that, well, maybe that guy lied. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe he thought she was dead. She's not, just because they would have a hard time accepting it.
Yeah. Now, Paul pushed her into the space station, which had no oxygen. There was no life support left. So she can't be alive, right? But he's not going to say that either.
No, he's not going to say that.
So all this is raising the question, and a lot of people are asking about this. This is raising the question of who flipped the switch to turn the module on. You remember how both Joe and Paul are like trying to get the escape module, the Soyuz capsule, to like turn all the switches on, and part of it's not working. And, I think in this episode, he bangs on it and it flips on, right?
That part I don't remember. I remember in the first one, she's talking to her daughter why he's messing with it. Or that's what I remember from that version. But beyond that, I don't really remember.
Yeah. there's a lot of speculation about like, did Joe flip that? Joe on the other side flipped the switch for Paul and he went home, and who on the other side switched it for Joe, or did anyone? Did maybe just banging it actually made it work? I don't know. I also enjoyed in this episode, and it sounds like you did too, seeing how much more quickly like Paul, I don't want to say his mental state deteriorates, but his trajectory with everybody not believing him and all the stuff is very different and more rapid than Joe's. Partly because we've seen it all and it would be boring to see it all over.
Yeah, I think they were skipping through it. That's why I said I think in a way it would have been nice to see it kind of simultaneously go back and forth in a way. Mm-hmm. But considering it's already at that point, you're not going to want to now see it, and go back. It would be too.
Yeah. It feels like. Of course, it feels like his life is a little more different than Joe's. Like, he calls his wife by a different name.
Yeah, so that was quite a big. Yeah, that was like a big thing that's surprising. Like, it's still the same woman, but she has a different name. But if you're going by, string theory or whatever it is, multiverse. It's supposed to be that there's a different universe for every decision that you make or don't make, and so it's a possibility, but. I would think that that's something that is kind of a big jump.
I don't think that's really the premise of this show, though.
No, but I'm just saying and when you watch things like that, that's usually what they say.
Yeah.
And they didn't go
Yeah.
into that here, so you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of irrelevant. I'm just, saying
I
that.
think this show has a very different take on like quantum entanglement. This is more quantum entanglement and the observer effect, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot that to me is not explored yet, or that I don't understand yet about the observer effect. Like every time Joe sees Paul and Paul sees Joe and they observe each other, are they causing even more changes to happen or something, right? Or Alice is an observer also, and what does like the observer affect? I don't know if we're ever going to get it. I don't know that this show is going down a deep explanation of physics.
I mean that's kind of to do with Schrodinger's cat and everything, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean that you're right. The big part of this is it different because they could see it, or because they know about it? I don't know. I mean, this is, I feel like a lot of this is sort of like that sci-fi deep stuff if you want to do a deep dive, but it's not going to go that deep,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Paul goes, two major thing happens. First of all, before we go to the very last scene, I feel like Magnus in this, he's a little bit different. He's not as patient with Alice. He seems to, of course, this one, his wife is dead. We're used to seeing
this is the opposite version of him as well, right?
Yeah, and we're used to seeing him be frustrated at Joe, but pretty understanding considering he found out she was having an affair that she can't remember, and he doesn't, and then she almost kills him, and he doesn't, he doesn't really turn on her.
Well, no, in this one, he thinks she's dead, so she doesn't almost kill him in this one.
No, I know. In this one, he thinks she's dead, but he seems to be he's much less patient with Allie. Like her mother died, and I know he's sad also, but he seems to be a little bit more of a tightly wound, sharper kind of a personality in this version of him, right? He just seems to me to be a little. He's the one who's yelling at Alice to get out of the cupboard all the time, whereas Joe. Like, I guess he and Joe maybe both were yelling at her to get out of the cat, right?
Well, I remember, I'm trying to think, I remember Joe being like, why is she in the cupboard? So I don't think Joe even knew. And he's like, well, you're never around. But that was the other version, obviously. I mean, that was kind of like her coping thing. And I wonder if that version of him got mad about it. And it could be in this one. If this is the one she had the affair, right?
Yeah.
Well, it might also be that it frustrates him because he feels like it's her fault that she's having these issues because she wasn't there. And he's like, why? So therefore it makes him mad, even though it shouldn't. That would be my guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the cupboard's kind of, I don't know, some of that got a little confusing. It's confusing to keep track of both sides of what's going on here.
Yeah, it's not like.
That's why I was happy when the actor said that they were like that on set too. Because I'm like, I was so lost. That makes me feel better.
Well, because it's not like they all have the same haircut. It's not like one has short hair, one has long hair, or somebody's got a big scar on their face or something, right? They're all like truly identical. You have to really kind of watch for other cues to see what which side you're on, which
and sometimes they're seeing both sides at once, so it's kind of even more confusing.
Yeah.
Because like you're seeing her side and it's bleeding through or whatever, so therefore you're actually seeing both.
Yeah.
Very, very confusing. This is not a show for somebody who has little patience, let's put it that way.
No, and it does seem by the end of it that Alice is like the most
in tune, I guess.
Yeah, what do you say? The most in tune? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, and a question too is, and I don't know, I'm just thinking this now after having seen it after the fact. Maybe she can see things too just because she's a kid. I mean, there's been in a lot of shows we've watched where kids have more power because like they're not been influenced by kind of like the observer effect. Like she hasn't been influenced by a lot of things because she's still young. So like maybe she's more open to that kind of thing.
Like because she hasn't learned that this is not possible. So
yeah, maybe she believes it easier and therefore she can accept that it's true. And that's, I have honestly don't know. I'm just saying, thinking about it, that could also be a possibility. Especially because she hasn't been in space. And like you said, she started seeing things, it seems like before her mother turned on that machine, whether it was because she was on the phone with her at the time, video chat, I don't know. But she's somehow, tangled up in it. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't know that necessarily we will know. I think that, again, that's one of those things that it's just kind of like, how do you interpret it?
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, I don't feel like I need to know the reason why necessarily. I mean, I'd like to, but it's not like it's going to break the show if I don't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have 2 more episodes left, so there's kind of a long way to go. And it seems to all be coming together, except for good old Bud and Henry.
Okay, tell me what happened to them in this one, because I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say.
So Paul is like, the Cal did this, and everyone at the European Space Agency is like, what's the Cal? There's no such thing as the Cal. That program was discontinued 10 years ago. And he's like, no, Henry Caldera, my mentor who I worship, taught me all about it. It's his experiment. And they're like, dude, he's dead. You need to go to the psychiatric hospital. He's been dead. He died in Apollo 18. And so Paul flies to LA. He tracks down Henry, aka Bud.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's dead though. So
and
yeah,
he goes to Bud's apartment. Bud's a total jerk to him and is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he pulls out a gun and shoots him, or shoots at him. We don't really see, right? He pulls a gun and shoots. We don't see if he shoots Paul and if Paul's alive or dead, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that was kind of crazy because.
So you don't know more than that. Okay, so I got to be careful.
Yeah.
I always wanted to know where it ended, because some other stuff happens, but obviously you haven't seen it yet. So
I mean, it's confirmed that they switch universes, and that.
Oh, okay, it is. That's what I was trying to.
Yes, it's pretty much confirmed that they switch universe. I mean, no one has come out and said they switch universes, but the European people at the European Space Agency are like, Paul, he was on Apollo 18, and like everything. Like,
well, either way, they were either misinformed or lied, because obviously there's 2 of them. So he's not dead, regardless of what they said.
They didn't say he's dead, but they were like, he is like he was on a mission and everything went wrong. He's a drunk and everything went wrong, and 2 guys were killed.
I didn't think they said he was dead.
No, they didn't say that. They're like, he lives in disgrace in this like shitty apartment. We don't even know where he is. We don't know if he's dead or alive, because he's like a total disgrace and washed out of the program because these 2 guys died. And Paul's like, no, he didn't. He saved those guys, and he's like a world hero, and he won medals. And I don't know what he says about him, but because on the side that Joe has been on all the time is the side that it really worked out. Paul's original, right? Paul's from that side, and he got switched. But Bud is really Henry. And like he knows that it didn't happen and he got switched or something, right? Like he knows he's switched, and he knows that Henry's living his life, a better life, on the other side, and he's really angry. I
don't think, maybe I misunderstood it, and I'm trying to remember. The only ones Paul is seeing the other, like, is in the wrong side. I think
Paul and Joe are
about it, but I don't think this whole time he's been switched with him, unless I'm
Bud and Henry. I think Bud and Henry have been switched for like 20 years.
Okay, see, I didn't take it that way. I didn't know that's what you meant. No, I don't think that. But again, it's been a while since I've seen this, so I could be misremembering. But I don't remember thinking that when I watched this. I'd have to go back.
I think they switched at the moment of the accident in space, just like Joe and Paul did for some reason.
Oh, wait. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I need to go back and rewatch the end of this. But I know that either way, he's obviously aware of, or can see, the other side. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that about the show, they're so confusing. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't even know what, yeah. And so we have seen Henry. Well, we've really seen Bud and Henry are able to communicate through the mirror and maybe in other ways, right? Like last week we saw Bud made Henry pee in his.
Yeah, and that's what I was meaning, that he definitely is aware of him. I remember that because I remember him talking to him through the mirror or whatever. Seeing him
Yeah.
through the mirror.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to figuring out like why these guys are affected and nobody else. And I'm really thinking it's the iPad. It's like the observer effect. You had to observe that, like that's why Alice has it. But I mean, I think it's all gonna come down to the lake now. Like I think like is it gonna come down to the family and what they're doing at the lake and how to and like Alice, I feel like the one Alice thinks her mother's dead and can get her back, right? And maybe wants to get her back. But that means so there's the Swedish I call them like the Swedish Alice and the one who speaks Swedish and the one who doesn't speak Swedish, right? Mm-hmm. And the one who speaks Swedish thinks her mother's dead and maybe has a chance to get her back. But that means the non-Swedish Alice like has a mother who's not a real mother, but the alternative is to have a dead mother, right?
Yeah, which isn't good, I'm sure. No, yeah, it's sad, but yeah, she's kind of tangled up in it too.
Yeah, I don't know. We could talk about this for another hour, like not knowing what the hell's going on or how, right?
Yeah, we probably should.
Got to get to the next episode coming up this week and see what
happens.
Do you
want to do Resident Alien?
Sure, let's talk a little Resident Alien.
I actually watched this tonight.
Oh, yeah?
I've seen this one before, yeah.
Okay.
You know, I think a lot of this episode was super, super funny, but I feel like at a certain point it got to be a little bit too much.
Oh, thank you.
It was just a little overdone of him like running around about having sex with her. It was just at a certain point it was like, okay, we get it. And I know that's just how this show is, but you know, it just got a little bit too much at a certain point. I feel like in this episode, usually I don't feel like that, but it was too much of them acting totally insane. Like, sorry, that picture's got like little dots. Like it was funny, and I think they were really funny together. But it's like sometimes with Harry when he acts like really weird, it's just like now there's two of them acting really weird, and it was just like the whole episode, and it was just too much after a while. I felt like.
Well, it was like a joke that, I thought the joke got a little played out.
Yeah, and they just kept it going.
And they just kept it going, and like there was an unusual amount of Alan Tudyk prancing around, half dressed, talking in silly voices, making it was a little
like he's super funny, and I love it, but I want some story too.
And the sex jokes were like, okay, like I often say this is a show for like 12-year-old boy humor, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. They really played it out. I do think this one scene where they were making out at the kitchen table, like it went on too long, but it was supposed to, because like we were supposed to feel like as uncomfortable as Asta and Darcy did, I think, right? There's way too much visible tongue and stuff in that scene.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I kind of, that's the episode just talking story wise, is I feel really bad for Asta because I feel like Harry has completely like, I don't want to say dumped her. I mean, he wasn't with her, but like he acts like she doesn't matter at all. He doesn't like listen. He doesn't care. And like he had gone through, I feel like a lot of growth. And Asta's still his friend, and I feel like he really kind of shit on her in this episode a lot.
So there's not a shot from that scene they're in the bar or the diner when Harry is just so mean to Asta and Darcy, right? Yeah. And it's like, oh, you think nobody will love you unless you fix them, and you just go around looking for people to fix. And then he goes, and then this stray cat showed up and then he just tears into Darcy about what a endless pit of need. It was so mean. Out of character for this show a little bit.
And that's why I said I think that it's not even to me just how harsh he was. It's more that he just doesn't care. Like he's like, I don't gotta save the world. He's like just kind of like doesn't. I don't know if he thinks that what they're going to do will save them too. I'm not 100% on that, but it just seems like he's not really, that's not what he's worried about now. All he cares about is having sex with her. And I mean, to some extent, he is still like a kid, so I kind of get it. But he had grown a lot, and I feel like out of everybody, he did care about Asta. She was his friend. She was the only one he had, and like he's like completely ditched her and like doesn't seem to care what happens to her in this episode, and that made me feel bad for her, and I kind of got annoyed at.
Mm-hmm. You know, it reminded me a little bit. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago? There's a scene where, Deputy. I just always call her Deputy, like the sheriff. Deputy Liv's grandmother stops her in the street and says like all these incredibly mean things to her that like, we can't even believe. And we were all like, wow, like, do you think there's like an angry person in the writer's room who's just dropping these nasty things in every 2 weeks?
Maybe. Yeah.
And I would like to see there be some consequences. Like I really was like, I hope Asta, like it really bothered me that near the end of the episode, Asta and Darcy were basically kind of saying Harry was right. Like Darcy was like, look at me. I really, like Darcy.
Well, I think it was sort of self-reflection, but
I know.
And that's kind of my problem, though. Regardless of whether he was right about what he said about them, that has nothing to do with the fact he still needs to like save the world and not just leave.
Well, I mean, yes, but the show really is about his personal growth, right? Yeah. As he lives among humans. It really was very, and like, I don't know if they're trying to make it like reflect, like everybody's got that friend that when they like hook up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you don't see them. Like they're just, they're, especially when you were, Harry's supposed to be like a kid and like a teenager or a tweener, right? He's emotionally,
he's having sex. That's all he cares about. And so I said, there's like a part of me that gets it and thinks, okay, I kind of understand that he's reached that point and why he's like ignoring them. But
he wasn't just ignoring them. He's so mean.
Like you said, like, I feel like there's a point where it's like, he should still be caring about saving the world. I don't know.
The part where he's not caring about saving the world, I get that as a plot point. I don't really get him being like so really downright nasty.
That's true. Because usually he's still, talking to Asta. And again, guys, if anybody wants to tell us what you think, comment on social media where you're watching this and we'll see your comment. We'll see it live if you comment on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, or even if you're on NDB Media socials watching this, if you comment, we'll see it. Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to mention that.
Harry says things that are insensitive because he doesn't really understand, but I don't really feel like he's usually mean. And I think that was really mean.
Yeah, and that part wasn't funny either.
No, it wasn't funny at all. I was pretty like uncomfortable and unhappy and like, wait a minute, what?
Now let's talk a little bit about, I feel like, that's all this stuff. But I was going to say about the abductions. I wanted to talk about Liv and Kate and about Ben and Darcy. The fact that now Liv is, she kind of gets the opinion from Kate that maybe Kate thinks she was abducted, but Kate don't want to admit it, type of thing. I think obviously this is going to become important because they're going to realize pretty soon, I'm guessing, that they were abducted. But Liv's like, you should come to our group or whatever. And she's kind of scared to do that. But which it kind of surprised me because through the first part of the episode, Liv, and I think that's actually in the scene, when she gets the messages on the car, she's like, I'm not doing this. Everybody's getting killed because of me and that kind of thing. And she's like, doesn't want to be involved in saying there's an alien because of what it's done. But yet she's turning around and talking to Kate about it. So it was that seemed a little disjointed story-wise to me. Did it to you?
Yeah, or does it not matter? Says something like this town is in danger because of Deputy.
Yeah. And so she's telling him she's like not going to be involved. And I took that to kind of mean like about the whole alien thing, like her bringing like she said, her bringing the alien hunter there and that, like that wouldn't have happened. So I was kind of a little confused that she went from, I'm not going to talk about aliens, I'm not going to do this, to talking to Kate about aliens like 5 seconds later. Unless I'm mixing up the order. Maybe it happened beforehand, but I thought it happened after.
I don't really recall that, but maybe she meant like running her mouth widely about aliens versus just talking to one person who seems to genuinely maybe be abducted by aliens.
I guess, but her going to an alien help group is kind of still dabbling in that. I don't know. You're right. She might not have meant it that way. I just kind of took it that way.
But I mean, she's not going to deny her own experience of having been, she believes she was abducted. She didn't say, I'm changing all my beliefs. She just said, I'm not going to talk about it.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she was going to deny that she,
you're probably right. Yeah. She's just not gonna,
and she did. So Kate appears to maybe have found an implant in her neck.
We don't know, because that's where it ended with her, wasn't it? With her finding something.
She holds the mirror and you can't really see the reflection of whatever she's found on her neck. And we know that her husband.
We know Ben's is in his foot, so.
Yeah, we know his.
They had all those shoes. I kind of assume it would be in her foot too, but who knows?
Yeah, she seems to have maybe found it in her neck. So,
maybe that's a reference to X-Files. No, I doubt it. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, since I didn't get to talk to you last week about the show, I can't remember what we called him, but the Mulder guy. What did we used to call him? Cheap Mulder or something?
Baby Mulder.
Cheap Mulder, Baby Mulder. I don't remember what we called him, but he's back in this episode. It's like his name.
Yeah, I don't have his picture.
His name's David. I was looking up. The character's name's David Logan. I have the cast list here. So he's back, and he is with Linda Hamilton's character, the alien bounty hunter, and they've got Terry O'Quinn hooked up to this, and he's like using his, and that's kind of creepy because I don't know if they're going to use him now to be able to tell who's aliens or what, but when he turns on his vision somehow and hooks up to the computer, and then they can see that Harry's an alien.
Yes, and it's creepy also because Logan says, "Oh, I know you can't hear me because your brain doesn't work,
but yet his eyesight works." That part
about your eyes, and I mean, so that doesn't make any sense. But also, like, it's so horrible to have this.
I feel like part of this, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this is there to be a Terminator joke. I just can't. Laughing because it seems like, I mean, does that not kind of resemble, like, I mean, I know it's blue and not red, but like Terminator Eye, and yeah.
Actually, it made me think of Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah, it looks like that too. Right? Yeah, but Linda Hamilton wasn't in Harry Potter.
I know. So,
no, but I know you can't kind of
joke maybe, but you know, I mean, I can't be offended at this ridiculous comedy show, but they are like the disrespect for a human being who is, you know, severely brain injured, and they're like experimenting on him and using him like a tool. But
he's going to wake up. I feel like somehow he's going to end up being not brain dead, and I have no clue because I haven't seen anymore. I just have this feeling.
Well, I think the big clue is it's Terry O'Quinn.
Well, right. There's that.
So
yeah, we want Terry O'Quinn to have a bigger part.
I think he's going to wake up, right? Like,
I figure he will.
I figure he will also. Although that was kind of a big moment, and they can like using. It's funny because like they've got this fake eye on him.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't really need a fake eye because he always was able to see, right?
Well, I think that's just like I mean, I kind of assumed, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, that's the camera.
It's like a camera lens or something so they can see what he can see.
Transmit to the, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I kind of would like to see a little bit more of that storyline and a little bit less of Harry being in love, right? Because it was like, and now we get a whole other episode of it next week again, which is called, I forget what it's called, but
well, to be fair, I mean, this isn't a this is a comedy, so
I know, but
I agree with you. I totally agree with you, but I'm just saying I don't think we're gonna get it.
The Linda Hamilton storyline is on a super duper slow burn, right?
Yeah, and it's very interesting, and I want to know more.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. Now, I thought I had loaded a photo, but I didn't. It's probably sitting on my desktop and not loaded up. Of the Greys appear in the opening scene, where they have some hybrid sucker. They're trying to like use the ball, the alien ball, to raise. That's Harry's ship that's in the lake, right? They're trying to raise something out of the lake.
Yeah, and I guess only Harry can bring it.
Yes. They said the ball is organic or it's genetic or something, and only Harry can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that leads us to the end of the episode where Joseph reappears,
Mm-hmm.
and he tells Heather, the Greys are going to kill your whole family unless you get Harry. Oh, they need Harry's DNA. They want to get some of Harry's DNA.
And then they're like, we won't kill him. You just have to do this. I was kind of disappointed by this plot line because this is like so like expected. Like I would have, and you know that she's not going to go run to Harry and tell him like she should.
Yeah.
She won't do that. She'll keep quiet. Somehow Asta will probably find out and da-da-da-da-da. So I was a little bit disappointed in this plot line.
Also, like, it seems like it'd be way easier to just break into his cabin when he's not there and like steal his hairbrush or something. His genetic material must be
there's that too. But then again, he doesn't. My only thought with that, and I don't know, maybe this is just an excuse, but he doesn't seem to understand humans the way Harry does, so he may not understand that he can do that either. And come to think of it, if he did that, wouldn't that be Vanderspiegel's DNA, not Harry's DNA?
Oh, yeah. Well, he can see Harry as non-Vanderspiegel, right? Does he see Harry as
I don't think, because didn't he think a different? Yeah, because he thought the other doctor was Harry.
He thought the other guy was Harry.
Yeah, or did something to him. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I got to question how she can even get his DNA. I mean, maybe like his spit or his semen or something. I don't know. But if he's in his body, I would think the DNA would not be Harry's DNA. Maybe if they took it off. Well, no, that baby isn't his. I was thinking that
it's like a genetic disguise. It's not Harry's actual body, right?
That's true. It looks like that.
Looks like
but still, they've had the whole thing. I mean, there was the whole thing with his DNA matched the leg or whatever before, though.
That's right.
So I assume it has to be
matched the leg. You're right.
Yeah, so it would have to be Vanderspiegel's DNA, the original Harry's DNA, I would think. So I don't know. And again, why her getting DNA would be different, I don't know. But I don't know how that. It just seems that that's kind of. I'm not surprised they did that. It seems too predictable.
I'm pretty sure we just discussed Harry's DNA far longer than the writers did.
Yes, probably.
Right.
Yeah. So back to the one thing I started to talk about, and then you sidetracked me.
Sorry.
Also about Ben and Darcy. That Darcy basically is like, I have to tell Ben. I can't not tell him because she remembers that that he was abducted. She remembers what happened when they were little, which was the whole thing that Liv was at too. That place where she saw the light.
Well, she had a dream, right? That
she's a dream, but she thinks it's a memory, and she knows Ben was abducted. So she basically just goes and tells Ben, which really she should have. I appreciate that she did.
She did it in
but then it is kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? And then he kind of looks like, well, maybe after she leaves, and then it ends and we don't see anything. But yeah. No, let me ask you.
I don't think she should have done it. I don't agree with you. I
think as a friend she should have done it. I don't know if it was smart as like they're trying to save the world and not get Harry in trouble and not. But I feel like as his friend, he has a right to know, and she's kind of like
I don't think that's not why she did it. I think she did it because she feels bad. She feels bad that she didn't believe him, and she wants to assuage her own guilt. I think
you're right. Wasn't there a comment in this episode? I'm trying to remember what it was. Somebody said something. At least I think it was in this, unless it was in something else I was watching, where somebody said something like, sometimes you're really not doing something I think it was when she was saying about Asta helping people or something, that sometimes you're not really helping them to help them. You're helping them because it makes you feel better.
Yes.
Wasn't that in here somewhere? Yeah, I guess that I hadn't thought about it like that. That is true. But my question to you is, we know in the comic book, because I know just because the actors have said it multiple times, that in the comic book, the town knows about Harry and they kind of protect him or whatever, and everybody knows. Do you think that it's getting close to a point where maybe everybody is going to find out, because I was kind of thinking that and thinking about the fact that, the sheriff and Liv are getting closer and closer. Now they may know they're abducted. I just wonder if it's going to be like more people finding out and eventually everybody will find out. I don't know if I want everybody to find out. I was just curious what you thought of that.
Well, I think that some people have to find out. I think that moment has to be coming for Ben and his wife, Kate.
At least finding out about aliens, not necessarily about Harry.
Yeah. They can't go on much longer not knowing. I think Liv and Sheriff Mike have to find out soon also, because how many more plot lines can there be where they almost find out and then Asta and later Darcy have to cover up? Like, that joke is now 2 seasons in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I also don't know kind of how long this show can go on. So it was the comic book did not go on forever, right? It was kind of a short series comic. It wasn't like it went on for a million years, right? And I think that, once Harry saves the world from aliens, are there more storylines? Is there more growth this is not going to be like a 10-year show. It might go another season, right? But show is not going to go on for a million years. So yeah, I think the time should be coming maybe when people find out, and maybe there's one more season where that happens, and I don't know, maybe it becomes like a town for aliens or something, Yeah.
I don't know. Season 4 hasn't been confirmed yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious.
I don't know.
The only other thing I can think of we didn't mention is with Jay. That Jay. Oh, and the science thing. That was the other thing, is Ben's project that he steals.
Max's project. Yeah.
Why did I say Ben? Max's project, and that he steals Harry's caldera and little liquid that he's got there. And now I'm trying to think.
Well, Harry,
he sets it off. Harry pulls the fire alarm, which at least I do have to say, I appreciate that Harry has definitely grown, because his first thought is get everybody out of here so they don't die. He did immediately go to try to help people out of there. I appreciated that. But I'm trying to remember it. So there was smoke, and then what? I forget what happened after.
Harry goes in there and he sees everything's floating, and he realizes
that's right, it was floating.
That
anti-gravity.
The Greys' plan involves anti-gravity. The Greys they want to destabilize the gravitational.
They want to change
the Earth, right? So that they can live. They can only live for short periods of time in our gravity, so they need to destabilize our gravity somehow.
Okay, that's the whole caldera. Okay, that's what I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So that's what their plan is with the volcano, or I guess it's a caldera, not a volcano, whatever, the thing they're trying to do. So yeah, we get that too. And the only other thing I was saying is I was just saying that Asta lets Jay live there without asking Darcy. That isn't really that important. And also Mike saw his ex-girlfriend. Those were the other things. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I've seen it this afternoon, or this evening rather, so it's all fresh in my mind.
I cropped this photograph that's on the screen right now. So
what? You cropped it?
Yes, because
you said I cropped this photograph.
The picture that is on the the press site for us to download. You see where Detective Torres' hand ends? I chopped off the whole bottom of the picture because there's a huge trash can on the sidewalk that is the main focus of this shot. And so I had to chop the trash can out because it's like a picture of a trash can. It surprises me sometimes what screen grabs end up on the press sites.
They just don't always edit.
But there was 45 pictures to choose from. I just cropped this one out. That's on a slow burn also, their attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And ex datingness or whatever. Is on a slow burn also. And I'm actually not that interested in it. It was kind of fun, but it's been so.
I feel like there's something there though, because she basically tells him that whatever he was into, that I forget exactly what she says, but basically that there's something there and what he was investigating with the van and everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's going somewhere. But other than that part, yeah, I don't know. The preview showed the baby alien.
Yes, the Harry's baby is back, maybe.
Well, it's not Harry's baby. It's
Oh yeah, it's not
what's
his baby.
the other alien's baby. I can't think of what his name is. You mentioned him earlier. I'm blanking. But anyway,
Joseph?
no, not Joseph.
Not
The
Joseph's baby. It's the other guy's baby, not
yeah, the guy that was the painter that he was following after.
Goliath.
Yeah, Goliath. Yeah.
Goliath. Yeah, it's Goliath's baby.
All right. Well,
So
I think that's about it for this
all
one.
right, yeah, I think we're good on that.
So yeah, what else? Is there anything other than I think just Shogun? Was there something else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Well,
You can go ahead and talk about Shogun for a little bit. I'll hang around for a little bit, but I have not seen any more, so I'm still on the first episode. I just have not had time to.
Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry that you haven't caught up, and I'm sorry that that AJ's not here because this was a really good episode. This is I forget how many episodes are in this show. We are on episode 4. This was episode 4 out of I don't know how many there are going to be. 8. Maybe 8. I think I never know how many episodes there are on any show. And this was kind of like a turning point. Like so, it's a little bit complicated politically what happens here, but basically, there are 2 main things going on. One of which is that our 2 main characters are getting more friendly, right? Because Blackthorn, is that his name? The pilot, he's been
like I remember.
He's been promoted to like basically a really high kind of position, and he's given like all the things that a samurai would have. So he has this like house with this courtyard, and he gets remember in the first episode, this woman, like her husband and baby were put to death as punishment for like
which was awful.
Yeah. So in this episode, Toranaga says to her, okay, you're going to be the engine's consort. So she has to be basically the consort. She's like the legal wife to Blackthorn now. And she has to like take care of his house and be his like main person or whatever and be his wife.
Like you mean just like she's acting like his wife, or she literally married him?
Well, she didn't literally marry him, but because Toranaga is the Lord and he's like, I appoint you consort, it's basically like appointing her as wife. She has to live with him. She has to take care of everything. She doesn't have to have sex with him, but she has to like do all the things that you would do to take care of him, watch after his household, all the things that a wife had to do in 1600, right? Except they're highborn, and she is from like a big famous samurai family, so that's kind of why.
Yeah, right now they're also what do you want to call it? Looked down upon because of what her husband did.
Well, yeah, but she's from a respected like samurai family, so that's why Toranaga like had put them together to give Blackthorn like the status that he needs to have to be like protected and to be worthy of the accommodation in the house and everything that Toranaga wants to give him. And so the next thing you know, Toranaga's like, you got to stay in this village. I'm out of here because like people are trying to kill me all the time. I got to go back to my own house, right? And he leaves. What happens is he leaves his son in charge, hanging out. So they go to the village that is the home village of this guy on the left, the ponytail guy, Yabashiga, who's like, you know how he has this guy who's like his main vassal, his right-hand guy, but also is secretly a double agent who's like trying to betray him to the council. Okay, let me make this real short. They're hanging around in his village, and Blackthorn is teaching them how to use cannons. And the Japanese are like, cannons suck. You can't hit anything with a cannon. And he's like, let me show you how to hit stuff with a cannon. And he like blows all this shit up perfectly. He sets up all these targets, and they're like, oh my God, teach us how to fire this cannon. And
like swords versus guns.
Well, because he doesn't know how to do anything. They're like, teach us how to have an army and how to use like tactics of the Western army so we can beat our enemies. And he's like, I'm a sailor. Like, what do I know about this? I know about cannons. So he's teaching them all about cannons, and through
I know about cannons too. Cannon point and go boom.
Yep, it's some pretty cool scenes because of some political wrangling that I will spare you. Some bad guys trick Toranaga's son, who is this little guy, who really wants to impress his father. He decides to point the cannons at like their rival soldiers. And there's this very gory scene where all these guys get like blasted with cannonballs. And what happens basically is that this young guy trying to impress his father doesn't really know what the hell he's doing. And he basically has started a war. And there probably is going to be a war starting in the next episode. Because of like this young kid who like didn't really understand the bigger picture and who was so eager to please his father that he was kind of tricked into like blowing these guys up. He's like, my dad will be so proud of me that I blew all these guys up. And then, you know, everybody else is like, oh my God, Marco's like, it's going to be a war. There's going to be a war. What is he? He doesn't know what he's doing. So it was kind of a big turning point episode because there's going to be a war. There also was a big turning point because like Blackthorn's asleep in the middle of the night and this woman comes into his bedroom and it clearly is supposed to be Marco that comes in and has sex. They have sex. And the next day he's like,
I'm guessing.
Well, the next day she's like, oh, did you enjoy the courtesan that we sent to your room? We thought you would really like her. And he's like, oh yeah, that was great. And it's like, it's not clear to me if he like, I think they really had sex, but
But
it's
they don't want people to find out, so they're lying.
Yes, like they have this kind of bonding moment earlier where they talk and it's all like romantic and stuff. And then that night she sneaks into his room and has sex. And like she might be like you're never alone in the house. There's all these servants and people in the house, right? So like, is she just covering so if people know he was with a woman, they wouldn't know it was her? Like he clearly thinks it's her. And then she's like, oh, did you like that woman we sent? And he's like, oh, yeah, that was great. Thanks.
So we don't know whether it's really her, but he thinks it's her.
It looked like her in the dark. I think it looked like her. I think it was her. I think, like, also, what's the point of it not being her? The point is that these two are going to have a forbidden thing going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then probably her husband, who got killed, like, 2 weeks ago, probably is not dead. Because we never saw him actually killed, right? We saw, like, 40 soldiers chase him around the corner.
Do we know for sure if her baby was killed?
Her son is not killed. The other lady, her baby was killed.
Oh, okay. Whoops, sorry.
Fuji's baby was killed, and her husband.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was what you said. You confused me.
Mariko has a son who was left behind when they escaped from Osaka last week, I think. Remember, her husband was always a jerk and was like, why are you, like, hanging out with your
but
mother?
her husband and baby were really killed. Or no, maybe not.
This woman's husband and baby, Fuji's husband and baby, were put to death by Toranaga
as they were really killed. Okay.
For his like dishonor, right? He had to take the heat for like, but he was really rude to someone, and they had to be killed. Mariko's husband was like, there was a big fight, and he was like defending. Like they took off on a ship, and he couldn't get on the ship in time, and they sailed away without him. And the last time you saw him was like 40 guys with swords chasing him. And so you assume he's dead, but on TV, if you don't see a dead body, you really should not assume the person's dead, right?
Right.
I figure just when these two get like super in love, that's when he'll turn out not to be dead. But I don't really know.
Yeah. Probably.
It was complicated. It was pretty good. The canon scenes were pretty good. And I enjoy some of this political like back and forth, but this is a show that you have to watch when you can pay attention. Maybe you don't. Maybe people out there don't. But I have to like be paying attention. I can't be reading. I can't be messing around. I gotta like watch the show and pay attention to what these guys say. And it's in Japanese, so you gotta read it on the screen, right? And pay attention. And if
actually, there is on Hulu. Apparently, you can watch it with it voiced over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. So like, because I guess they don't do that on FX, but you can watch the other audio. So not everybody's watching. At least that was my understanding. At least the first one was. I think they're all like that. They have the
They
option.
probably are.
But so not everybody's necessarily paying enough attention that they're watching the subtitles. But you're right. When you're watching the subtitles, you pay more attention. You can't do other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't.
So I'm curious if you're listening to this. I would like to know. Tell us if you're listening to it in English or you're really listening to it in the original language. I'm curious what people do if they go on Hulu and do that or not.
I understand why people do that. Like, there's
I do too. It's easier. I don't know which way. I don't. When I start to go back to watch it, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might do that too, just because it's easier to pay attention. I mean, I feel like you pay more attention when you're reading the subtitles, but you're also missing stuff because you're reading the subtitles too.
Yeah.
But I think it's more. I don't know. I feel like this show, you're going to lose some of that authenticity though if you don't do that. But I mean, does it matter? I don't know.
Right.
People probably feel both ways about it.
They went to great effort to do it in Japanese because they're trying to be authentic. And so then to not watch it in Japanese is maybe not 100% how they intended it, but they also wanted it
They also want viewers. So if it makes people watch it, they'll do it.
Well, they also wanted an international audience. They wanted it to resonate with Japanese audiences. It's not made strictly only for an American audience, right? It was made for so I understand why if that's what makes people watch the show, then fine. If you're not going to watch it otherwise, then totally do it. Yeah. It's not like you can't. There's not like a wrong way to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what we had for tonight. That's our what we got under coverage for tonight.
Yep. So all I can say is everybody just follow our social media. Our Twitter link there is up on the screen. Make sure you follow it, and any updates will be put there. And as things get updated, I will. I always tweet about them and everything as interviews go up and stuff. And once I get the store up, I'll post it there as well. I'm just trying to get caught up and stay caught up, but just kind of behind. But like I said, I want to watch Shogun too, but I have to have time to do that. I haven't had time, and I don't know when I will. So
we can't like today. I watched Resident Alien while I was making a quiche. We can totally do that.
There needs to be more hours in a day.
Yeah. So we're back next Tuesday with the same 4 shows. I don't think anything new is coming on. All of our new shows are not coming till like May, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't think. I'm trying to think what else. There's some things starting. There was today a trailer went out for Interview with a Vampire. Starts, but I know there was a trailer. I've seen that.
There's also a trailer for the new Star Wars series, which is called The Acolyte.
Okay.
I have not watched it yet. That show is coming, I think, in the summer. I could be wrong about that. Somebody could correct me in the chat if they were here. But they're not.
Yeah, they're here. Yeah. And of course, Doctor Who starts May 10th, the new episodes. So yeah, starting up.
I'm sure that AJ and I will watch The Acolyte. We have watched and you too. You've watched most of the.
No, I still have not watched the series. I've watched the movies, but not the series, not the new series.
None of them?
No, because I want to watch Mandalorian. I have not. Yeah. I just need time. Well, if I get my surgery and I can't do anything at all for 3 weeks, like I can't move at all, I'll have time to watch all this stuff.
Well, I mean, The Acolyte, Jamie, this new show takes place 100 years before the first Star Wars movie, so you don't have to know anything. You have to watch anything to watch the show. I mean, it might be helpful to know a little bit of like Jedi lore, but you probably know enough about that, right?
Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah.
I did think of one thing. This is kind of random, but I was looking up the reason why I was thinking about it is I was looking up the analytics for YouTube, and I seen an old video there, one of our highest rated ones, and it made me remember might be more, and I don't know for sure because it depends whether or not I get it, but there are doing more press for Taskmaster. So if anybody that's listening to us really likes that, because I know it is one of our highest rated videos, or is that interview, there might be another one coming. So if you like that, look out for that.
All right.
So yeah, yeah, I think that's it though. I'm trying to think if anything else is coming. Oh,
TV's
well, I was
gonna
gonna say The Way Home. I've still been watching The Way Home, but we don't talk about that. So I really
no.
like that show. You need to
Um,
watch it. I really like it.
uh,
Excited to see what happens.
I think broadcast TV is going to get a little bit messed up because March Madness is starting, but also, Netflix has the Three Body Problem coming, which I know you have been.
Yeah, been watching that, hoping to cover that, trying to cover that, trying to get interviews for it. But yeah, that's coming soon too. And I
And
like that so far. I haven't finished it yet, but I like it so far.
and that has like scientists dealing with space and time as really
Yeah,
all.
it's definitely sci-fi. It's
Yeah,
100% sci-fi. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely something.
Um, so that'll be a thing to watch maybe if other things are not. I don't
Yeah,
think it's preempted, but CBS is going to go all basketball for a little while.
yeah. Parish is coming soon. That's another AMC thing. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I think we've mentioned everything, at least the stuff that we cover.
Yep, I think
But
that's what's coming.
we'll talk more about it all next week. But thank you everybody who came tonight. We had quite a few live compared to what we normally do. Usually we get a lot of I don't know whether you should call them viewers, listeners, viewers after the fact. But we actually had quite a lot live this week. And I know Ark isn't even here, but we've had quite a few live that aren't even from. They don't appear to be from NDB Media Channel. So these are people that are watching because they want to see it. But they're not connected to us. Let's put it that way. Not that we don't appreciate all our NDB Media brothers and sisters. We appreciate that as well, and Roger for letting us have our show here. But we're getting a lot of live tonight. So hopefully people liked our show. And if you did, let us know what you think. Come back next week. All three of us will be here, and hopefully AJ won't sound like a Cylon.
Yep, get his mic fixed. Yeah,
Yeah, we can hope.
yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Well,
thanks,
I
everyone.
will talk to you next week. See
All
everybody
right.
next week.
Have a good week. Bye.
Bye bye.